Welcome to another episode of Wisdom Wednesday, where we're here to help you to overcome life challenges. As we know, being a woman over 40 hasn't been easy. And adding on top of that, if you are a mother as well, I honestly give my hat to every single mothers outside of I don't know how they actually deal with everything kids, work, menopause, all playing into play. So today we have an expert in this field here. We have Philippa. Hi, Philippa. Thank you so much for being here today.
You're welcome. It's Philippa. But we
Philippa,
knew
sorry.
we knew you would get it wrong. But I'm very happy to be here.
Please tell us a little bit more about you, Philippa.
I am the mother of four daughters and the grandmother of one baby girl. So I have spent the last just over 21 years as a mother, um, among my work, among my businesses, and so on. So I'm what you would call a working mum, I guess, although I've done most of my time has been as an entrepreneur, as a woman who works for myself. So yeah, I'm a very proud wife and mother, but that's not all I have managed to fit in. I'm also a passionate advocate for women. I'm a passionate advocate in the maternity services sector. And I'm also very passionate about helping mothers to enjoy mothering and helping fathers to get the most out of that experience too. So really passionate about parents being able to find joy in the experience of parenting.
Oh, I really wanted to hear that because I don't know how you guys do it with all the stress and everything that's going on in life. I do actually see that it is hard. So if I may ask you the first question, how can
Sure.
a busy mom incorporate small, effective self-care practice into their daily routine to support their mental health?
Look, I think the first step in incorporating whatever floats your boat. So there's a couple of steps here. First of all, you need to actually acknowledge, adopt, and believe in the idea that you are worthy of
Mhm.
self-care, that you are worthy of good mental health, and that you are worthy of spending and taking time for yourself. Because unless you take that first step, you won't actually do anything with it. So first of all, acknowledge, and the way I have come to do that is through a statement. So it's actually a choice, and this one works beautifully. We're digging straight in, getting right into the nitty gritty from the beginning, but in my practice, one of the tools that I teach women is the I choose to know technique. And for this particular purpose, I would give women a choice statement which says, I choose to know I am worthy. I choose to know I am enough and I deserve to look after myself. And so we're making a choice. An affirmation is different to a choice statement or to making a choice or a decision. And we can say affirmations till the cows come home, but if we're not actually choosing to know that that is true, it's not going to land anywhere in our unconscious or in our conscious body. So when we make these choice statements or say these choice statements and actually choose them, we can start showing up in that space. So that's the first thing, because nothing else I share with you is going to land if you don't believe that you are worthy.
Mm. I hear
This
you. I hear you. I definitely see a lot of women that they come here to ask for advice, but I'll say that probably only 20% would take the advice and then actually practice it at home. And at the end of the day, you are completely correct. It is a choice that we have to choose to go through the process of realizing that we important, we matter, and we deserve support. So I absolutely love that part there. Thank you. So what is
You're
the
very
second
well.
step?
The second step is finding out what actually makes you sparkle. Right? What actually feeds your soul and fills your cup? So, for one woman, it might be 10 minutes of yoga in the morning, but I can promise you that does not fill my cup. Right? But for another, it might be sitting with a cup of coffee and just, I don't know, looking out the window. For a different woman, it might be, for me, it's having a bath. Oh man, do I love to have a bath. I don't have a bathtub that's very big at the moment, so I haven't had a bath in a really long time, but that fills my cup. That makes me feel like if I feel nurtured when I get out of a nice warm bath. And so everyone has different things that complete or fills them up. And so having a bit of a list of things that work for you, and it might be breath work, it might be that cup of coffee, it might be getting up before the kids, and that's not always possible. I had 4 in 6.5 years. And so there was no time before the baby or whoever woke up, because I was getting as much sleep as I possibly could through the night to make sure that I got sleep. So I wasn't waking up before anybody. But for some women, that's the time when they get to enjoy that. I hesitate to say stay up late after everybody else to have quiet time. But if you do that, make it a very set time frame rather than just staying up and scrolling. Give yourself an actual purpose in that time. So what am I going to do with this time? And it might be 10 minutes, it might be 15 minutes, you might need half an hour, but don't use it scrolling through Instagram or TikTok or whatever. Actually use it for a purpose. And it might be, for me, one of the things I love doing at the end of the day is to write down my 3 wins of the day. So because what we're looking for is a gain out of the day, right? What did I do well? What did I win at? And what are my 3 wins for tomorrow? Because that gives me purpose and a reason to move through my next day with passion and excitement. So what were my 3 wins from today? What are my 3 wins going to be for tomorrow? And then you can write some things that you're grateful for or reflections of what you've learned. But it's really important to set yourself, if you're going to stay up later, make it purposeful, not just because that's your power hour, right? People don't realize this, but that last hour before you go to bed at night should not include television or socials or devices. It should be a time of reflection and really getting ready for the next day. And if we do that effectively, we can actually change the entire frame for our next day.
Oh,
So
I hear you. I actually did that as well, because what I did was that because I was so busy, I need to stay up for another hour, but I was bad. I was actually watching TV and doing the things that I actually enjoy that I feel like I don't have time for. And by doing that, it helped me to keep my brain functioning better. And I don't feel as fed up. And I don't know about like a lot of mums there. After such a busy day, I feel like that I need that time just for me and do whatever I choose to be actually happening. Because otherwise, I feel like I'm insane. Every single day is a zombie day. It's like Groundhog Day all over every day. And it's a lot.
yeah, absolutely it is. Absolutely. And so I get the need to feel like you need to just have some time for yourself at the end of the day, but my suggestion is that you make it purposeful. So really understand what you're doing and why you're doing it and what you're going to achieve out of it, so that it's not misspent time that simply detracts from the time your body could be healing overnight with sleep. Yeah. So because that's a really important factor. The next thing I would say is have some fun. We get so caught up in this big responsibility. We get so caught up in managing and juggling all the things. We forget to have fun. We take ourselves so seriously and we forget to insert fun back in. So I would challenge mums to actually find a way to every single day make sure you've had a good belly laugh. If you get into bed at the end of the day and you haven't had a good belly laugh, you need to Google cats and cucumbers, giggling babies, Carl Barron, I don't care, something that makes you laugh, and actually have a good laugh, because it changes your psychology and it changes your physiology. And that's really, really important, especially if you've spent the whole day with no laughter. So find a way to incorporate more fun in your day, because it's actually a really simple way that you can create more balance within your body. And if you're not having fun in life, What are we here for? Right? We should be having fun. And kids have fun. They have so much fun because that's the point. The point is to have fun. And I'm not talking about being ridiculous, but if you're not doing at least one fun thing for yourself through the week, even if that's just watching, 5 minutes of Carl Barron, yes, that's my go-to. Love him, think he's fabulous. But if you're not doing that, then you're really not giving yourself some balance. And it's a really quick and easy way to add something back into your world that can make a big difference.
Yeah, I hear you. That's why that I'm like, I felt bad one night because I was working to 12, and then by the time that I need the time to actually chill down, and I look at my clock, that's 2 a.m. in the morning. And I wonder how many of us that actually run our own business, who are managing big stuff, and plus being a mom as well, doing all of that, have given themselves the time to actually calm down a bit so you can actually process on the next day. And just having those 3 tips, then realizing what is fun for you. Like for me, being able to actually watch something really silly, that helps. I love seeing people eating, all of those beautiful eating venture that you can go to. I save them into my history so I can go back to it anytime. And I think something like that is what I find enjoyable. And so I don't have to think a lot of the times that when we use our brain too much. So I really, really like these suggestions there. So thank you for the 3 step. So what are some of the common mental challenges that we actually have in this midlife crisis, let's call it, and how can self-care help to address them?
Okay, so it's a big question. So what are some of the mental loads that we take? Because this is then there's a meme going around, or a clip going around, that has been for a few years, just talking about the difference between men and women and how much of a mental load we carry for our families. And it strikes me every night as I go to bed and I get up off the couch and I look at my kitchen bench and I go, right, nobody else has put anything away at all. Everybody else has gone to bed and it's left to me. I have to deal with all of this. And I need to make sure the front lights are off. And I've already dealt with, my daughter and my granddaughter, and I've done the roosters and put them in their boxes and packed up the chickens and done all these things. My husband just gets off the couch and goes to bed. Like there's nothing. And then we are thinking about, I do this all the time. I lay my head down and then I go, oh no, I haven't messaged my 20-year-old who lives in Sydney. I love you. Good night. I didn't say good night to my 15-year-old as I was walking past her bedroom door. Get up, go back. I love you. Good night. There's all of this stuff that comes up, and I don't know what it's like to have nothing going on in my brain. There is always, unless I am unconscious and asleep, there is always something happening within my brain. And so that mental load, that thinking about I need to get bread, I need to get milk, but I also need to get, the kids need stuff for their lunchbox. I haven't cooked anything. I need to go do that. What are we having for dinner? I have work functions and work commitments that need to be, they have a timeline. And trying to juggle all of this stuff within our brain that won't shut off can mean that we end up with, we're overstimulated for starters. We're often adrenally fatigued. So when we're running on a high stress, we're in that fight or flight state, and our adrenals are constantly producing adrenaline to keep us going. Now, that's actually only meant for highly stressful short-term situations. But when our adrenals are going on high levels for an extended period of time, we can end up actually crashing. And that's what happened for me. I got to 16 years into my parenting space. I was working a corporate job. I was doing a university degree. I had, a property to look after with an aging mother and all sorts of other things on my property. And I just burnt out and everything stopped. My brain and my body just went, nah, we're taking a holiday. Didn't work. I still had people I needed to care for, and I still had assignments due. So what happened was that we get to a point where our balloon just becomes overfull. And when we add to that the fact that most of us, in fact, I would hesitate to, I'd say that most, if not all of us, have some sort of trauma from our childhood. And whether they're big T traumas or little T traumas, they fill up the balloon still, right? 7 little T traumas can fill up the balloon as much as one big one. So we have to acknowledge that there can be different types of that trauma. But when we get enough things in the balloon, and over the years that grows and grows and grows and grows, and there's no dealing with everything in the balloon, it pops. And that's what happened for me. And I ended up with adrenal fatigue. And I was I'd say the F word, but we're live, so I don't know who's got children around, but I was really not good, and I collapsed. And I had to do the mental health work then. I had to go and get some help to be able to clear what was in my balloon so that I could function again on a day-to-day level. I can't remember the second part of I'm perimenopausal now, so I've got that part going on in my brain. My short-term memory doesn't work so well. What was the second half of the question?
Yeah, what are some of the tips that people can do?
Yeah, so I would say do the therapy work. So for myself, my go-to and what I use with the mums that I work with is a modality called TRTP. It's a 3-step process, and it works extremely fast to clear the stuff in the bubble, to clear the trauma, and it actually gives you skills for the rest of your life to not actually need to be in therapy. And I know that's revolutionary to say, because people are like, oh, how can 3 sessions or 3 steps actually rewire the unconscious? But it can, and it does with this process. And so do the work, actually do the healing work that is required, so that the symptoms, because the symptoms are workaholism, perfectionism, OCD, depression, anxiety, all of those things are symptoms of your whole system screaming, I'm not safe. So acknowledging and being really real with yourself about what it is that you're facing, and knowing, again, this comes back to that very first tip, knowing that you are worthy of the healing, that you don't need to be punished. This is your opportunity to take that on, and the work you do will benefit your children. It will benefit your relationships. It will benefit your work. So knowing that whatever you do for you is actually going to benefit everyone around you can be a huge motivator for women, so that they don't, because we suffer from guilt a lot. Mother's guilt is such a big part of what women experience. And I parented out of guilt for a very, very long time. And I don't anymore. And that's a beautifully freeing place to be, because my children actually know that they can depend on me because of my love for them, not my guilt around what I could or couldn't provide previously. And that actually creates for them a stronger sense of being able to depend on me, which means that they are far more likely to seek independence and maturity. Yeah.
Oh, I can definitely see that. Not just like mom guilt. I'm looking at my partner as well. The way that he communicate and deal with his own trial, and I can see a lot of them come from a place of guilt, instead of the guilt of being not there all the time, the guilt of not being able to supply or provide. All of those guilt, and I think that goes for every single parents out there, to actually realize that the love is there. Use love instead of guilt. It is so much more powerful, and just like you said, it comes from a much deeper places. And when we can move past from those guilt, that's where that we can choose the acceptance. I was talking to another client this morning, and I can see them like, okay, you've been battling on the same thing over and over again, like a hamster. when are you going to choose to accept that this is a reality? This is already done. This is already here. You need to actually find out a way, what else do you need to close that chapter before you can actually continue to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. And, look, there's a lot of parents out there who are, they're trying to do the things. They're doing the things. They're breastfeeding, they're co-sleeping, they're gentle parenting, they're, spending huge money on the right schools, and they're doing all of this stuff which they think, or they hope, will create a better relationship and a better experience for their children than what they had. But the simple reality is they will never not be triggered in their parenting until they deal with the trigger that causes them to be triggered. And that means doing their own internal work. It means healing that child and giving that inner child, that them from years ago, what they need or what they needed. And when that child has healing, they're not triggered by their children anymore. And I see this with my clients every single day. My kid can do this now, and I can see where I might have been triggered before, but I'm not triggered now. But if we're only doing the surface level work, if we're only doing the talk therapy and things like that, we're not actually getting to a place where we're able to fully heal that person inside of it. And I'm not just talking about regular inner child healing either. That's there, but we go a lot deeper, and we can actually stop what triggers you. And people don't believe me sometimes. They're like, yeah, no, those things will always be there. No, they don't have to be there. We can actually fix it, and get you to the other side of the pain, so that when you show up in your parenting, there is joy, and there is love, and there is acceptance and excitement to see your children. And rather than dreading tomorrow because I have to see all these people again, these people that I brought into my life because I wanted a beautiful, loving, happy family. And now I'm scared to get up tomorrow because it's all too much.
I hear you. I hear you. And that's why that we love having an expert here like yourself to share your expertise with us on how to handle those situations. It is just, again, I gave my hat off to every single parents out there for giving them all, sacrificing so much to bring up the next generation. I really give my hat off to all of you for all the things that you do. Thank you so much for your time today, for sharing all of this news to us. How do people get in touch with you?
So you can find me on my Facebook page, which is Fantastic Futures Birth_Beyond. Actually, I think that's my Instagram handle. My Facebook page is simply Fantastic Futures Australia. And my website is Fantastic Future, no S, fantasticfuture.com.au. And can I just also say one more thing? And I know we're running out of time, but you were never meant to do this alone. And as women of particularly over 40s, we have been cultured to believe that we can have it all, do it all, and we need to have it all and do it all on our own. And we are meant to be a village. We are actually meant to support each other and nurture each other. And we are meant to have mentors. We are meant to have people that we can lean on for advice and understanding, and sometimes just a cuddle. Sometimes you just need someone to hold you while you cry because it was such a big day or a big experience. And so I would, of all of these things, please know that reaching out to someone, anyone, for that support is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength and courage. And we should, as women, support each other in that space as much as humanly possible. So thank you for the work that you're doing.
Yeah, definitely. That is one of the reasons why we have this community, to help people to realize that they are not alone, they're not crazy, and they are here to actually get supported and to be seen as not the crazy one, because we are all suffering from very similar situation. We all get overwhelmed and we all want it to be better. And that's what our community is for. So thank you once again for joining us today on our session. We really value your input today. And thank you to all our audience and our listeners for joining us on another episode of Wisdom Wednesday. We look forward to seeing you again next week. Have a wonderful week ahead.
Thank you.